for the super talented Larry Mitchell, who I had the great pleasure of meeting a year ago at one of Nashville's legendary music parties, and again at another one last night.
Great
Yeah,
parties.
they were. They really were. How long have you known Keb Mo, by the way?
I met him last year at the party.
I've got a grainy little clip here from last night. Now, you mentioned your new album, Traveler.
I released a record last year called The Traveler, probably in response to the year before, which I was traveling a lot, but last year was really traveling. And it's got a few songs that I've been doing for the years leading up to it that weren't on the record. And then I wrote some songs specifically for that record. And it's fun. Years ago, as a young artist, you don't want to be categorized. And then later on, the industry kind of, I don't know if it collapsed is a good word, but it changed. And I started producing other artists. And then I started to understand how important categories were and are. So this record had a little bit more blues based on it. It's not a blues record. I am not a traditional blues guitar player. Don't let that stop you from bringing me to blues festivals, though. So it was released, and actually I released it, and the next day I went to Italy, and that's not the way you're supposed to release a record. Just not the way you're supposed to. I released a record, and very little promotion. I was going to do it when I came back. I came back, and a friend of mine emailed me a couple days after being back and said, The Traveler is #2 on the Amazon Blues Rock charts, new releases. I'm like, no, it's not. And so I'm looking, I'm going, oh, it is. How did that happen? So I have no idea. Every time I've tried to release a record and promote it, it's a lot of work. And it doesn't give you that kind of result. This was no promotion to start. I literally released it because that's the way you have to do things in time, on time. And then I left the country and came back and got ready to promote it, and it was already like doing well. And then I don't know if I proceeded to kill that somehow, but no, it did well. But
Well, maybe you'd like to grace us with a couple of licks from the album, a song or two.
Sure. So I have a song called Unforgotten, and as I've gotten older, friends and family as we get older, friends and family start to pass away. And so that's been on my mind lately, and I've written a few pieces with that in mind. And I was working on this particular piece, this track, and a friend of mine in Alabama called and she said, I'm in your neighborhood. Where do you live? Can I stop by? And I'm like, okay. She goes, I have my dad's guitar. Her father used to own a music store, and one of the things that when he passed away left her was this cool guitar, Paul Reed Smith anniversary guitar. Really cool guitar. So she just wanted me to play it. She wanted to hear the guitar. She doesn't play it. She just wanted to hear the guitar played. So she brought it over. I played it. Now, what's interesting is this is a Knaggs guitar by Joe Knaggs, who up until 7 or 8 years ago ran the PRS private stock program. He worked for Paul Reed Smith. They went to high school together, and he ran the private stock program. He designed several of the guitars there. He built that guitar. He built all the custom shop private stock guitars. So he built that guitar as well. He's built this guitar. So I was playing it, and it was really cool. And she was smiling, and I had a different title. I don't even remember the title for this track, but I hit play and record, and I started playing over the track. And when I finished, I said, "This is Unforgotten." I don't know if it's proper English or not, but became the title of the song, and that's what I was thinking about when I was playing it. And it seems like when you listen to the record, it seems like I was always thinking that working on the track, but I wasn't specifically thinking of that. It just happened and came out. So this is Unforgotten. That's a little bit of Unforgotten.
That's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Just gorgeous.
The record, there's drums that come in later on, and strings, cello. And it's kind of fun.
So tell us about that beautiful Knaggs guitar you've got there.
So yes, this is a Knaggs guitar, and this was Joe's idea to put my logo there between the 11th, over the 11th, 12th, and 13th fret. I had originally asked him, said, maybe you could put my logo here, because I have some other guitars that are made for me that have my name here. I said, what about just the logo? And he said, nah, why don't we spread it across a couple of frets? So that was really cool. Except that sometimes people go, why do you have a fish on your, oh, that's you, or a plane or something like that. Joe makes what I call playable pieces of art. And this guitar has been around the world with me. So it's got dings and stuff like that. I'm not afraid to... I have some guitars that I collect and some guitars that I play. And the guitars I have to play, I can't be on stage worrying about if I'm going to scratch it. Although I love this guitar, absolutely. It's like it's been around the world. It's held up. It doesn't need adjusting or anything. It's just like whatever climate I'm in, it's there. He makes these really impressive neck joints. It's a set neck, a wood pick guard. This is his design tremolo, and it does look a little bit. Some people say, "Oh, it looks like reminds me of Paul Reed Smith." And Joe ran the Paul Reed Smith private stock program, and he designed several of the guitars at Paul Reed Smith. But he left. Him and Peter Wolf left a few years ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, and started the Knaggs Guitar Company, and it's got a lot of things that make it feel vintage. 22 frets, which I really love. It's got these vintage-looking vintage tuners, but they're locking. And it's just a cool guitar. It's a really thick piece of maple on top of mahogany. I mean, alder. I do have another one that's a hollow body. That's mahogany and maple. And I have 3 Knaggs guitars that are just stunning. They usually stop people in their tracks and go, what kind of guitar is that? So I love it. It's absolutely great.
So you've done a bit of teaching as well. You've got a few things on some of the online places. Now, here's my question.
Uh-huh.
Is it possible for a person of, say, my age, for example, to pick up the guitar and practice hard and get to some sort of a level that... because it seems to me it's like a language. The earlier you start, the better it is.
Okay. So I have a different philosophy about that. When I was younger, I taught. By the way, I'm self-taught. I don't necessarily read music that well. I understand some music theory. Later on, I got to learn that. Beginning was out of the back pages of Guitar Player magazine. Um, and I used to teach when I was in my early 20s, guys who were in their 40s. I've been playing in bands for years, playing in blues clubs, and they knew one scale and stuff like that. And somehow I was able to communicate with them and help them along. I'm still friends with a lot of my former students. Some play professionally, some don't. Some are doing everything, but they still play guitar, which is important. First of all, you have to. I think you should love to do it. Love to play guitar. I think when you're 12, you could sit down and play the same thing over and over and over for 2 weeks. And I also have a philosophy that anything you want to work on, if you work on it for 2 weeks consistently, you'll have it together. Learning the fretboard is key. A lot of people miss that. Even though I didn't read music or understand music theory at the beginning, I didn't understand where the notes were. Several people stressed that for me, learning what the fretboard is. And you can't drive 90 miles an hour in a neighborhood you don't know where the stop signs are and the street lights are and where the kids playing. So when you're 12, you can sit down and play things. In fact, I used to drive my mom crazy because I would remember working on bending, and I would be doing this for hours. And she would come and she goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm working on bending." She goes, "Can you play something else? That's like really driving me crazy." I go, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll play something different." And she comes and she goes, "You're getting my last nerve." I'm like, "What? Oh, that's not different to you."
Now, I understand that Clapton doesn't practice much except for the bends.
Well, Clapton, yeah, he bends.
But even he has to practice those consistently, he says, to stay sharp with those. Now, you mentioned your mom. Is this the same mom who threw the drum set out the window?
She started my guitar career by throwing my toy drum set out the window.
Literally out the window?
Third-story window in the back. But anyway, so back to learning stuff. I think it's important after a certain age to play every day. And so I've been actually talking with lots of people and helped a few people. And I said, just if you're like, say, a Beatles fan, buy an easy Beatles songbook. And if you play 5 minutes every day, by the end of the week, you'll have the song pretty together. Not amazing, but pretty together. I've had several people contact me later on and say, "Yes, I'm doing it. I'm playing 5 minutes a day, and it's gotten so much better." Not only that, they know more songs than I do because every week they're learning a new song. So I think you can do it. I think you have to actually touch the guitar every day. Pick up the guitar and play the song. Don't worry about mistakes. You're not.
That's where I fall down. Yeah. Don't worry about mistakes.
Why are you worrying about mistakes? No one's hiring you to play it. You're not even record it. Paul McCartney is not going, "Hey, it's going on. We can get someone else to do that." Just play it. Just enjoy it. Enjoy the instrument, just like you were at 12.
Now, at the upcoming NAMM, you're going to play on the stage, the zoo, on the prime 10 o'clock slot.
This will be my sixth year in a row now. And it's turned into a really, really fun thing. They give you a 40-minute spot. Sometimes we've been able to go over, but this last year at NAMM, they shut the hotel down after the third song. You couldn't get in unless you had a key because it was 2,000 people in the lobby.
Wow.
Yeah, they said no more people can come in.
I'll get my spot early. I want to see that one.
It was fun.
So now I understand you've worked with some interesting people, Rick Ocasek and.
Rick was a really wonderful person to work with.
And what was that? What was that project?
His third solo record, Fireball Zone. So he asked me to play on a solo on one song, and then I went and did it. And then Rick asked me to play some more, and then we talked, and we had interesting conversations about business, music business, about everything, a lot of different things and stuff like that. And
I bet he's an interesting guy.
He is. He's seen and done a lot of stuff, and it was really cool. And his wife, Paulina Porcica, was, of course, amazing to talk with. She's very down to earth, but still being supermodel.
And Tracy Chapman was another one I heard.
I played with Tracy and had a great time. She's one of my favorite. She's actually one of the best acoustic guitar players that I've ever sat in a room with. And I mean, she plays not like Tommy Emmanuel kind of playing stuff like that, but what she does is so precise and the same every time. It's just like, all right, are you slightly a robot? I mean, it's not like not feeling. She feels it. It feels great. But it's just like, how are you that precise every single time? It's like Data. I don't know if you watch Star Trek. It's like Data playing. It's like, all right. But yeah, Tracy was great and got to travel around Europe and really, yeah, it was a fun time. I play very differently in different roles. In my music, um, I'm a guitar rock instrumentalist, and I have a new age record and a smooth jazz-ish record. But overall, I play lots of notes and do my thing. Some sideman gigs, I never solo. I'm just doing textures. I'm doing like the stuff behind it. Some things I'm just playing, funky rhythms, and someone else is playing solos and stuff like that. But most of the sideman projects are not instrumental; they're vocal kind of things, and it's cool to get to do different textures. I like to do different textures underneath, especially vocals or another guitar or a keyboard or something like that. A lot of times people confuse what I'm doing with the keyboard too. So.
I was watching you last night, and you seem so happy when you're playing, but almost more so when you're just doing a bit of rhythm and watching somebody else take a solo.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just beaming.
Well, it's watching what people do over what you're just trying to add to it. I'm not, especially in an ensemble group like that, I'm not sitting there trying to say, hey, this is all the stuff I can do. I'm trying to contribute. And soloing is fun, but also just contributing to that, to whatever makes the whole thing sound great is fun. And then when someone else plays on top of that, it's like, wow, that's really cool. And then anytime I'm playing guitar, I'm happy. Anytime I can get up and I wake up and I go, I'm going to play guitar today. And people are listening. That's just, last night was a party, people listening. Especially when I'm doing a show and people are there and they're smiling and listening and they paid to see me play guitar. Why would I not smile about that? I can, it's a beautiful thing,
Well, I mean, it seems like an obvious thing, but not everyone stands there and beams like you were. I noticed that.
I'm just happy.
Tell me about working with Native Americans. How did that start? I know you've produced an album that won a Grammy.
One was nominated for a Grammy and didn't win, and another one's nominated for a Grammy and won. Let's see. Right before I moved to New Mexico, I was in Brooklyn. I moved back to Brooklyn for a year. And got a call from my friend Alex that there's a woman named EK and her band just quit and she's got this big gig, 10,000 people. Can you learn the songs and do it? So I learned the songs on the plane, and I remember going, hey, what kind of gig are we doing? She goes, it's a powwow. I'm like, what do you mean powwow? She goes, it's a powwow. It's going to be like 10,000 Native Americans there. I'm like, really? Because I grew up in the New York City school systems, which is like, natives were past tense. Long time ago, Native Americans lived and roamed the America. So did that gig, had some really wonderful meetings with people. It was really beautiful. I don't remember how the gig went, actually. I just remember everything around the gig and the people I met. And so that was cool. That was different. And then right after that, 9/11 happened, and I was on my way to Santa Fe, New Mexico, to produce a singer-songwriter I had worked with before. We were doing her second record. And I met someone who I later married, and at our house, we used to do fundraisers for different people. So we did a fundraiser for a guy running for governor, and at our house, and then they said there's a big one at a public place, and we're gonna have people play. So I put together a band to play, and one of the artists there, the other artist there was a Native American artist named Robert Mirabal, and he had just come back from doing his PBS special tour, and it was really new to me. And we jammed at the end of the night, and that started a decade plus of playing with Robert and producing several records for him, with him, and his record company asked me to work with some of the other Native American artists, which I loved. And I grew up on pop music, and I produced a lot of different like country, and I did a couple of gospel records, rock, and R&B stuff, I didn't know what a Native American record was. I hadn't been on that many reses to realize that it's all different types of music. In fact, probably the thing you hear on a lot of reservations the most is probably reggae, some form of reggae and hip hop. But then there's a traditional thing, which is traditional drumming or traditional flute playing, which not all tribes had flutes. But I started working with them, and I remember them saying, "All right, we want to do a flute record. You should produce it." I'm like, "All right, what's a flute? What's a flute? What's a Native American flute record?" They go, "Oh, you'll see. Just do it." And so I made a pop flute record, basically, and it did really well. And we did a series of 3 of those, and I've done a couple of other different records like that for different artists. But most of the Native American artists I work with, one is in the folk pop category with Native American content, the lyrics. And then attributes like the drumming, or there might be flute, just certain things that help it in that Native American category, and language as well. I love working and producing artists that speak another language. I'm like, oh, we got to put some of your language in here.
So what's next for you? Who would you like to work with next, or what projects are on the horizon for you?
I'd love to work with Peter Gabriel, Annie Lennox. There's some new artists coming up that I'm pretty sure that would be great to work with. As far as production, or any one of those playing live too. I wonder what it would like to play live with Peter Gabriel. I've seen a couple of shows live. Sting, even though it's a funny thing about Sting in this necklace, I always wanted to play with Sting. I got to play in a band for a minute with Stuart Copeland last year. That was cool. That was very, very cool. So yeah, I'm enjoying playing music. Again, if I could wake up and play guitar, it's a beautiful thing. That's and people like not throwing things at me. People want to hear it. That's a really beautiful thing. So,
well, I really appreciate your time and coming by, and thanks so much.
Thanks for having me here.